All right, this is probably one of the latest streams that I've done in a very, very long time, but let's get directly into it. I'm going to play the video and then I'm going to read directly from an article that pretty much fits within the lines of what it is that she's speaking on.
I'm gonna say this real quick. The federal government is now encouraging segregation. This is another tactic to get us people out there on them streets so they could do what they need to do. I don't think they have learned yet. This round and find out just really has not hit them yet. They don't get it. Black farmers are doing better than white farmers in Nebraska. Why? Because y'all racist and y'all think that we get handouts and we don't, because the black people really know how to do it from the ground up and y'all was the one getting the handouts and y'all ain't getting. Segregate this. Y'all don't even know how to cook with more than black pepper and motherfucking salt. And y'all barely use that. Segregate this because y'all the ones out here wearing bonnets. Segregate this because y'all the one that's on this app talking about box braids came from Vikings. Segregate this. Y'all the one on here talking about they not like us. Y'all really are not like us. Segregate this because honestly we did better when we was by ourselves. Y'all the one that came and fucked up everything when it was segregated. The difference is that back then we thought we was missing out on something. Y'all know that viral meme of that man talking about, not the meme, the video of the protester from the civil rights movement talking about he sat down and ate that food and he was like, this is what he was protesting for? Segregate this. Y'all want us to rage so bad and we don't care.
Shout out to DC and Lala. What is up? Much love, respect, and appreciation. So this is an article that is in a sense associated with what it is that she's talking about. Article states this: segregated facilities are no longer explicitly banned in federal contracts. They said after a recent change by the Trump administration, the federal government no longer explicitly prohibits contractors from having segregated restaurants, waiting rooms, and drinking fountains. The segregation clause is one of several identified in the public memo issued by the General Service Administration last month affecting all civil federal agencies. The memo explains that it is making changes prompted by President Trump's executive order on diversity, equity, and inclusion, which repealed an executive order signed by President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965 regarding federal contractors and non-discrimination. The memo also addresses Trump's executive order on gender identity. While there are still states and federal laws that outlaw segregation and discrimination that companies need to comply with, legal experts state that this change to contracts across the federal government is significant. Quote, it's symbolic, but it's incredibly meaningful in its symbolism. And that was stated by Melissa Murray, a constitutional law professor at New York University. Quote, these provisions that require federal contractors to adhere to and comply with federal civil rights law and to maintain an integrated rather than segregated workplaces were all part of the federal government's efforts to facilitate the settlement that led to integration in the 1950s and 1960s. Quote, the fact that they are now excluding those provisions from the requirements for federal contractors, I think, speaks volumes. The clause in question is the Federal Acquisition Regulation, known as FAR, a huge document used by agencies to write contracts for anyone providing goods and or services to federal governments. Clause 52.22-21 of FAR is titled Prohibition of Segregation Facilities. And it reads, quote, the contractor agrees that it does not and will not maintain or provide for its employees any segregated facilities at any of its establishments, and that it does not and will not permit its employees to perform their services at any locations under its control where segregated facilities are maintained. That clause has been in government contracts for decades, at least as far back as President Reagan, according to the digitized 1983 issue of Federal Register. The current version of the clause, last updated back in 2015, defines segregated facilities as work areas, restaurants, drinking fountains, transportation, housing, and more. And it also states that you cannot segregate based on race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. Several federal agencies, including the Department of Defense, Commerce, and Homeland Security, have notified staff who oversee federal contracts that they should start instituting these changes. A recent notice from the National Institutes of Health shows that the change is already in effect. The notice regarding a maintenance agreement for scientific freeze dryers cites that GSA memo and reads FAR 52.22-21 prohibition of segregated facilities and FAR 52.222-26 equal opportunity will not be considered when making award decisions or enforce requirements. To be clear, all businesses, those that have government contracts and those that do not, still need to follow the federal and state law, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which makes segregated facilities illegal. Effective immediately. One federal worker who works on contracts states that they were shocked when they received a notice about FAR changes from their agency. The NPR has also agreed not to identify the worker because of them being feared to be fired. They stated that this process used to institute these changes without a typical public notice or comment period of 30 to 60 days is usually reserved for the urgent matters or national emergencies. The FAR's rules explain that this public comment period is required for any significant revisions. Quote, the way that they're implementing this in this contract field is essentially subverting democracy. You're supposed to allow agencies to comment on this, contacting officers to comment on it, and thinking through the implications carefully. By doing this, they're essentially ramming things through, hoping no one is going to notice. So, pretty much that's what the woman in the video, well, the freeze frame of the video that you see in front of you, was referring to and or talking about. As stated before, let the past be the present. It is what it is. If a lot of people feel as though that these changes will really affect the black community first, we'll see. More on, it's going to affect everybody else way more than it's going to affect the black community. You're going to see a lot more others directly out there, going into a disarray, chaos, being highly emotional, when it just so happens to deal with these changes or how far reaching these changes just so happen to go. Like I said before, this is another way for those directly out there to try and get a reaction directly out of the black community. Like I said before, and many other people have stated before, if you pay attention to this timeline versus many of the others, right? So before we had the protest because we were dealing with police brutality and everything that was taking place, right? But then it got to a point in time where we were like, okay, it's the exact same thing that you just keep doing. We're not going to react the exact same way, right? So now they moved on from that to now doing certain things, right? So they're like, oh, hey, black people, we're getting rid of affirmative action. Hey, black people, we're getting rid of DEI and all these other initiatives. So you're not going to be able to, get any of the cake that we're eating over here. Aha, right? That type of thing. Even though behind the scenes, it was more so to affect another group of women. And it had nothing to really do with black people at all. They just decided to make black people the poster child for it. The exact same thing when it deals with, let's say, SNAP, Medicaid, and other types of government assistance directly out there. They tend to make black people the poster child for all of these things to try to label it as a negative, as if to say that these are the people that are siphoning from the system. These are the only people that need it, while quietly ushering in and allowing white people to do what it is that they've always been doing in the United States, which is heavily benefiting from government assistance and all of these other types of things directly out there. So like I said, we're going to see what's going to happen. We're going to see how this takes place, right? So just because I know some other people just got in here, I'm going to replay the video so people can pretty much just catch up on that, and then I'll continue.
I'm going to say this real quick. The federal government is now encouraging segregation. This is another tactic to get us people out there on them streets so they could do what they need to do. I don't think they have learned yet. This round and find out just really has not hit them yet. They don't get it. Black farmers are doing better than white farmers in Nebraska. Why? Because y'all racist and y'all think that we get handouts and we don't, because the black people really know how to do it from the ground up, and y'all was the one getting the handouts and y'all ain't getting. Segregate this. Y'all don't even know how to cook with more than black pepper and motherfucking salt. And y'all barely use that. Segregate this because y'all the ones out here wearing bonnets. Segregate this because y'all the one that's on this app talking about box braids came from Vikings. Segregate this. Y'all the one on here talking about they not like us. Y'all really are not like us. Segregate this because honestly, we did better when we was by ourselves. Y'all the one that came and fucked up everything when it was segregated. The difference is that back then we thought we was missing out on something. Y'all know that viral meme of that man talking about, not the meme, the video of the protester from the civil rights movement talking about he sat down and ate that food and he was like, this is what he was protesting for? Segregate this. Y'all want us to rage so bad and we don't care.
So now let's continue.
Nothing says eternal love like getting married on the same land where enslaved people were whipped, raped, and worked to death. Just imagine it. The Spanish moss swaying in the breeze, the grand column standing tall, and the ghost of enslaved Africans silently screaming in the background. Truly the perfect place to say I do, right? Wedding season is coming up. And let's be real, plantation weddings are weird. You're throwing a party on a crime scene and acting like it's some sort of fairy tale. Would you host your wedding at Auschwitz? No? Then why is a plantation any different? And before somebody says, it's about the beauty and the history, let's talk about that history. That grand mansion, built by enslaved hands, those charming cotton fields, they were fertilized with blood. That picturesque oak tree might have had a few back in the day. The irony is disgusting. Enslaved women were forced to have children to increase their owner's wealth. And now, white couples pay thousands to twirl around where those same women were brutalized. Make it make sense. And I already know some people are going to say, well, I'm honoring history. Girl, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're sipping champagne and taking cute photos on a human trafficking site. If you're that desperate for a Southern aesthetic, get married in a barn. Get married by a river. Hell, get married at a Cracker Barrel. At least they own their racism outright. But a plantation, that's not a wedding venue. It's a grave site. And no matter how many flower arrangements you throw at it, the bloodstains aren't going anywhere.
I want to say she's 100% right because I've talked about this before. Out of all of the things that I've ever heard of white people being proud of, they're like, oh, we were Vikings. We were, kings and queens and knights and all of these, types of things, right? I've never seen white people decide to have just a field of hundreds of weddings where they're just kings and queens and they got knights, round table, all of those things, right? You don't see that, right? You don't happen to see fields of white people out there having Viking weddings because a lot of white people like to say, oh, we were Vikings and we did this and that and all this. I'm like, all right, so where are those, Viking weddings with your box braids and your locks? It's just because I'm trying to see that. And all the times that I happen to see white people online on X and they want to put up their wedding photos or all of these things, I don't see any of those things. I don't see the king and queen. I don't see the knight. I don't see anything dealing with the Vikings. I'm like, what's going on here? But oddly enough, going through TikTok over the years, you see white couples getting married on plantations. And I'm like, that's a little bit weird. I'm like, you guys said that you had no parts of slavery, you didn't own slaves and all of this stuff. So what part of history would you be honoring by putting your white self directly on a plantation of which you and your family supposedly had no parts of? Right, that's not a part of your history. For other white people out there, be like, oh, my people helped to sit up there and free the slaves and da 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 da. Right. So why would you want to have a wedding on a plantation anywhere else that you could literally have a wedding? You opt to have it where specifically where slaves were and they suffered and the whole American history and all of those things. It's a little bit weird. It's a little bit weird. It's some crazy work directly up there. It's diabolical. Yo, man, New Yorker, what is up? What is up? What is up? Matt New Yorker was replying to somebody saying who was crying. Like I said, I'm used to the trolls coming directly up here anytime anything gets talked about. They these are the two things that they do. If black people are talking about history, it's like, oh, why are you guys always crying? You guys are always trying to portray yourself to be victims. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right? No problem. So then when I flip the stories and I make it all about white people and I show the crime that's going on in their community and the people committing those crimes, now it's going to be, oh, why are you acting like only white people commit these crimes? There's people of evil that do crime of all races. Why just focus on one? This seems a little bit lopsided. It seems a little bit racist. How would you like it if I set up there and started up a live stream or a platform and I was just showing blacks committing all the crimes? Right. So, like I say, either which way you go, they'll always, have something to say instead of just shutting up and paying attention and listening. It's a little bit hard for them to actually do that. So, again, this is why they're in the comment section. Classic times, though. Let's continue.
So, working as a background investigator is challenging. Do have instances of people who are just not going to believe you are who you say you are. You can present your badge, you can give them the investigator verification number, you can do whatever, you have a release form. They're just not going to believe that you are who you say you are. And it's more than likely because of the color of your skin. The one instance I can think of that really sticks out to me that still bothers me to this day is when I was pregnant with my daughter and I needed to go to the VA for a medical record and to speak with a provider. And I had a release form, I had my badge, I had my credentials, I had everything. And the lady at the front desk just refused to believe I was who I said I was. I tried. I told her my credentials, the front has your the badge, and then the inside, you open it up, it's folded, it has my photo. It says Department of Defense on the top, but we're with DCSA, but whatever. And she makes a comment to me like, oh, DOD, I guess you are official. She then calls her supervisor. Her supervisor says, yes, I will be right out to speak with her. So I go to sit down, and I notice after a few minutes, a lady comes out and she walks past me multiple times. I want to say 3 or 4 times. And she's looking around, walks past me again, and there's no one else. There's no one else sitting out there. It's early in the morning. There's no one else in the waiting room. Eventually, she goes over to a security guard at the door who is a young black woman, and she says, oh, I thought there was supposed to be some type of investigator here to get some type of medical record. And the security guard tells her, yeah, she's sitting right there. You've walked past her multiple times. So she comes over to me and she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that you're who I was expecting. Huh? And of course, I don't know if it is my skin color, my locks. I don't know. I'm young. I'm a woman. Plus, I was pregnant. I was visibly pregnant. I think I was like 6 months, maybe 7 months. So I was huge. I don't know if all of that threw her off, but she might have just been expecting to see an older white man in a suit, I guess. I don't know. But I have had multiple instances of people just being taken aback or, oh, how'd you get this job? What? And I even had someone call the police on me to verify my ID. This was me getting an education record, just verifying attendance for a student at a high school that was joining the military. And the principal called the police on me so that the police could come inspect my credentials to make sure they were legitimate. So I just want to say, if you are getting into this field as a black woman or a black person in general, you have to be prepared. Just dress professionally. Be prepared for what you're going to say if somebody makes rude comments or how'd you get this job, or just not believing who you say you are. Just be professional and maintain your composure. It's very hard, but maintain it.
Caitlin, I want you to just shut up. I just want you to just shut up real quick because that's how I know that you're probably what, in your 50s, 60s or something. You're trying to bring up Jesse Smollett. Like, where are we at right now? You're like the previous white guy that wanted to pull up to the scene talking about, did Obama hire me to be on this platform? You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Like, that's some straight clown work. Like, Jesus, y'all got to get better. Y'all got to get better. like I said, this fits. Her video fits specifically within the realm of the other video that I showed you guys before, where the black FBI agent was being harassed and also detained and put in handcuffs because a white officer believed that he was not he believed that he was a fake cop. He was like, you're not a real cop. This isn't even a real badge. Tons of people sit up there and portray themselves to be cops all the time. You got your all this other type of stuff, yada yada yada. But the first way that he came directly to the federal agent's car, he came to him specifically and was like, hey, I like to make people's lives very difficult. I'm like, you're stupid. You have to be stupid. You really think for 1 second that you as a random ordinary white cop are going to make life difficult for a black federal agent? You're stupid. But like I said, this is where racism gets people. A lot of people who are racist automatically believe that somebody like her or the black FBI agent could never be in those areas. They feel that it automatically has to be somebody white or maybe even somebody, that's foreign. Anybody black being there? No. And especially if you got locks and we can clearly see that no. You're not educated enough to be here. You're not smart enough to, to be there. And of course, if you are there, they're going to say that, oh, you must be an affirmative action hire. You must be a DEI hire, right? They just, slid you in there because they needed to make some type of quota. Crazy work. Crazy work. Diabolical. It's crazy. 100% crazy. But like I said, it is what it is. A lot of people are going to inevitably learn the hard way because of their lack of education, their ignorance, and their racist type of ideology or mentality when it deals with people who have a difference of skin color. And again, primarily, this is what takes place in the United States. And it's been like this for the longest time possible. It's crazy. Mm, mm, mm. Lunch said he's talking about Jussie. No, I think that was a woman, I guess. I don't know. He, her, him, whatever. Said, Lunch said he's talking about Jussie Smollett. Let's talk about all the times white people lied and had black towns destroyed. I mean, I got books. That's the beautiful part. I even got pictures. So, I mean, could sit up there and go there, but it's crazy work. But let's continue.
There's a development that very well may happen that I think everybody in America needs to watch. So there's a group of Muslims, Islamic people who are looking to build a place called Epic City here north of Dallas. It sounds like a water park, but it is indeed not that. What they're trying to do is take 402 acres and they plan to build an entire city of Muslims. But
now I want to freeze it right there. If anybody was here during the previous live stream, I gave you a video where a woman from the UK, a white woman from the UK, pretty much had the exact same issue this one was going to bring up. She was like, hey, the UK government or whoever, they're going to, take this land and they're going to build a mosque and they're going to build this whole area directly, specifically for Muslim people, right? Just to give further context from the live stream yesterday.
Not to be governed by the United States and our laws, but to be governed by Sharia law. Now, in this city, in this proposed city, there will be over 1,000 homes, of course, a temple for them to worship, shopping, the same thing as any city. But we won't be allowed to, our laws won't apply to them. That's what they want. If any of you know anything about Sharia law, we should all be very, very outraged and very scared of what their plan is to do here in America. If y'all don't remember in the Middle East when the little girls with all the women were taking their, what are they called?
Hijab.
whatever, their scarves off their hair and their face, and then they started their heads off, little girls included. Yeah, that was Sharia law, by the way. You look over there now and women can't even be outside. They can't work. They can't shop alone. They don't have money. Complete and total oppression and depression. Right now. Under what? Sharia law. And if you think for 1 second they're not going to try and impose those laws on Americans that live in that area or surround that area, you must be crazy. You must be crazy. They absolutely are. And the craziest part to me is that there are some local political figures who are supporting it. And I want to see what their bank account look like. That's what I want to see. I want to see who paid you to sell your own, to sell Texas out. Now, the history of this is it was already brought up and they wanted to get it approved, but it was shot down. And Greg Abbott said there will not be any such thing, any Muslim towns established in Texas. That's not happening. But they're bringing it back up again, and there's a few mayors that are supporting it. I also want to point out, if you are a believer in God and Jesus Christ, the rumor is the Antichrist will come up out of the Muslim faith. He will be Middle Eastern. Not saying for sure, but the man of perdition is supposed to be Middle Eastern, and really everything is fitting that. And one of the only religions that has that oppressive, extreme oppressive spirit is Islam. And the fact that they're trying to do that here is like, and this isn't the only place that they're doing it, that they're trying to build these towns and cities like this, where they actually they have their own police departments and things like that. I don't know. Whew. Things are coming quickly. I don't know what everybody else finna do, but I be worried about my people. I know that ain't gonna fly with us. That's not gonna, we not going. And so that makes me wonder, like, dang, what they gonna do with us? They ain't gonna do nothing with us. But y'all should be very worried. And the fact that people here are willing to sell out their own people, trust me, it's for some money. It's crazy to me.
So now I put it like this. I understand to an extent her concern, but you're worried about a group of people. Let's say, down there in Texas, they're, supposedly selling out the Texas people, right? Hasn't America always sold out its people to the highest bidder? So I'm a little bit confused. And isn't America supposed to be a Christian nation? And then also dealing with Christianity, wasn't that the same exact religion which also enabled slavery to take place? Weren't slaves in the United States given a different Bible versus what the slave master had? We had slave Bibles, right? And we were specifically to read from that Bible that specifically told the slaves that it is okay for you to be slaves. It is meant to be. You are supposed to be here and to make sure to obey your master, which is the white man. So I'm a little bit confused on being, concerned about one religion over the other, because if I look at a very violent religion, at least that I know of, at least firsthand, I would have to look at Christianity, just to be real. Just saying. If we're really going to sit up there and be, concerned, I'm just saying, if people out here are really Christian, it seems to be a lot of Christians seem to be very, very judgmental when it deals with other people's religions. And this is what I just so happen to say, especially when it deals with church folks. I'm like, hey, I thought we're not supposed to, cast stones. We're not supposed to judge others because we are not God. Only God has the right to lay judgment or to judge, another person, right? Because as the creator, he created everybody, so he can lay judgment and, do all of those good things. But you have a lot of people that decide that they want to be God, aka they want to sit up there and judge. Like I said, this is why I got a problem with religion, because people don't really want to follow how it is that things are supposed to be followed. Because I remember stuff But I'm like, yeah, that doesn't really, fit, how I am and what it is that I do, especially given the context and the history, of the United States. And then on top of the fact, I think I did see somebody state that they are afraid of the time of when the United States is no longer going to be a Christian nation. We're already at that point in time. Look at all of the drugs, look at all of the debauchery, look at the gambling, look at the women that are walking the streets, or better yet, it's not even walking the streets anymore. It's more so walking directly on the internet, right? Because at a point in time, women were supposed to be conservative, with their bodies, correct? But when you go online, that's not what you just so happen to see. Like even when I roll through X, and again, I'm a man at the end of the day, right? You just so happen to see nothing but what? You see women in bathing suits all day, every day. Like I kid you not. I could be rolling through trying to just look for videos. Bam. I got a thread up here where you got a woman that was at Barbados or something. Bam. Another woman here from Jamaica. Bam. Some random woman over there in Australia. Bam. Another woman that might be like Chinese or something, like crazy work, right? So there's no type of, modesty, right? There's no type of things of people being conservative. There's no type of things where, people are not being greedy, right? Working in one of those, those sins. You got a lot of people wanting to covet, other people's, wives or significant other. You got other people out here willingly committing violence and very horrendous acts towards another person over envy, jealousy, or gossip. Again, these are all things that are within the Bible that we're supposed to make sure that we don't do, right? Because then that means that what? We're living directly in sin, correct? Where we're moving away from some quote unquote God's word and all of these things. Like I said before, it's crazy to me that we're more fearful of somebody else's religion versus the one that we've been forced to, in a sense, love. Because for all intents and purposes, when it deals with Black Americans, we were forced to love Christianity. We were forced to love the image of a white Jesus, of a white God, of a white Savior. We were forced. To put this into a better example for those who are old enough, you can look up Good Times, where the youngest son, Michael, basically brought this to the attention of his mother, Florence, and also later his father, and and the rest of the family. And you saw how it is that she was trying to fight with what it is that she was raised with versus the information, the newly found information that was in a sense given, which basically in a sense shows within that a lot of religious people are ignorant of the things that are specifically written in the Bible, because people are only taught to read the Bible one way, and they're not specifically taught to quote unquote deep dive. Because if people were taught to deep dive, then a lot of Black people would sit up there and know that, hey, guess what? Jesus is Black. A lot of the churches that we would go to, we would actually have an image of a Black man being the son of God. But again, even within Black people, we're like, no, 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 that's doing, we can have, Black power, we can believe in ourselves, but saying that a Black man is a son of, that's doing that's a little bit too much, right? And that also goes back with that indoctrination, how it is that we were taught and we were beaten into submission in order to believe that the same people who, in a sense, quote unquote, enslaved and captured us are going to be the exact same ones to save us from the same thing that they placed us in. That's some crazy work. that's some crazy work. Like that's diabolical, right? Isn't that the exact same thing that people in a sense say about women when it deals with being a significant other that's pretty much putting hands on them, where it's like battered woman syndrome? Right? Wouldn't that be, in a sense, the same exact thing when it deals with Black people in the system and religion? It would be that exact same thing, or for lack of a better term, battered slave syndrome. Wouldn't that technically fit the definition? So, like I said, I understand this woman's concern, but it's coming again from ignorance, because she was only able to list at least one thing dealing with the Muslim faith, right? She can't tell you anything. Or plus, that's all that white folks were complaining. Sharia law, Sharia law. It's this. I'm like, so y'all don't know nothing else. I'm like, that's all y'all can basically parrot and say is Sharia law, and that's basically all of the Quran. That's the whole thing. That's every single page that is directly in there, right? That's in a sense ignorance, right? The exact same ignorance that slaves were given when they were given a slave Bible that specifically had pages taken out or things rewritten versus the slave master's Bible and everybody else's. But like I said, you can't tell nobody nothing. This is how you, in a sense, teach and you put out fear to other folks by way of ignorance. And the main thing that I've stated to people before is fear is one of the greatest weapons that man has ever learned to wield. Because the moment in time that you can do that, you can literally move a whole country. We've seen that. Go back and look at Germany. All it took was fear. That's all it took. All it took was fear and somebody with a voice, and that's it. And every single time I get on social media and I happen to hear somebody religious, I'm listening to the exact same thing. And instead of people wanting to learn more about the other faith or the religions directly out there, they were like, no, I'm just going to stay ignorant and I'll stay directly on my side. I don't need to know more than what I already know. That's crazy work. So if you don't need to know more, how can you go out here and try to tell or explain to somebody about something that you really don't know nothing about? Because you barely even really know about your own religion and your own faith. Like that's a little bit confusing to me. Is that, like I said, I don't know what to tell people. I don't know what to tell people. Like I said, it's crazy. It's 100% crazy out here. But, like I said, it is what it is. Let's continue.
Long at all. You volunteered firefighter. So you carried your disrespectful, bum, sadistic up to that goddamn here at Bell Mountain. So you went up there, took pictures of the two twins, Kadir and Nazir, and then you shared this publicly, and the pictures even ended up at these kids at high schools and shit, all through high schools. The kids at these schools were sharing these photos. And not only that, the come to find out, the boys' car was side of the fence with their IDs, wallets, and their tickets, they flight tickets to Boston, still in the car, while they were found on top of this mountain unalived. And then y'all tried to lie like they had did that to themselves. See, you gonna quit playing with us. That's what the y'all gonna do. Y'all gonna quit playing with us. And you sadistic, soulless, evil looking bastard, you're in on it. You green, you in. You gonna lead us to the other. That hiker, where you at? Cause at this point, ain't nobody safe. We need that hiker that found them. We need the investigators who tried to act like it was a MS. So we need y'all for trying to even label that. Y'all knew that didn't even look right. Y'all knew that shit. You would have called that shit on your own kids. Y'all knew what the shit was when you smelt it. You knew it was stinking then. You knew the shit stank when you first smelt it. And you thought you was gonna deal that shit to us. No. You smelt it, you dealt it. You don't pay. Starting with you, you weirdo, sadistic bitch. You was in on it. You grin, you in. Lead us to the other culprits. We on y'all ass. We not letting this go. Y'all running around here with this evil, demonic, devilish ways and shit. Ain't nobody gonna be subjected to this. Find y'all somebody else to play with. Matter of fact, do each other. Don't do us. Play with your own folks. Stop playing with us. Y'all gonna pay for this.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, how do you, as the person that you are, find these two young guys on the ground, and your first thought in your mind is like, oh, let me take a picture of this and send it all across to my friends and my family so we can ha 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 laugh about it. Tee. That's some crazy work. That's some crazy work. But like I said before, historically speaking, and with the books that I have, somebody like him always rolling up on a crime scene and taking pictures, I'm not too shocked. Him passing those around, I'm not too shocked. I'm waiting for them to start making those into postcards because that's the inevitable. They're going to make them into postcards. They're going to make it into greeting cards. They're going to have it in, their closed Snapchats and their Facebook groups. And, they're going to do whatever it is that they just so happen to do that historically, these are the things that they've done. Like I said, that's crazy to me. I would never at any moment in time happen upon two white boys where something directly happened to them. And my first thought would never to be, oh, let me sit up there and take a picture and and spread this around and make fun and do what dude, I'm sitting up there calling somebody. I'm like, yo, y'all got to come out here. It's like, yo, you got these two. I'm not sure, how long they've been out here. This is how I got here. This is where they're located. I'm not sure of any other information, but y'all need to sit up there and get here and investigate this at this. That would be the first thing, at least in my mind, at least, being a human being, right? Actually looking at the situation, understanding the severity, knowing the fact that somebody at home is more than likely wondering where their children directly are. Right. But like I said, you got others directly out there that obviously don't have that type of logic. You got people out there that don't, of course, see black people as human beings. And this clear cut shows it how you can have somebody like him decide to happen upon a crime scene, and that's the first thing that he decides to do. That's some crazy work. Just imagine if black people had that thought process anytime that they saw something happen to white folks. We just had that same thought process. Like, we're not going to call nobody. We're not going to, get no help. We're not going to try to notify. Let's just sit up there and take a picture and just, do that. Right? It's crazy. My condolences to the families of the two boys. My condolences. Because like I said, that's crazy. And then on top of that, to the last images of you are of that situation, and to have that to be the memory in a lot of people's minds is that's ridiculous. That's crazy. That is crazy. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, Shan was like, how they declare it. Clear it as an X out that fast. I'm saying that the dude that took those pictures is the dude that did it. Anything is possible. And again, remember it was two of them up there. So if that guy was able to just magically find them, there was more than likely other people that were involved. And this is why I told people before, even dealing with some of the other stories that I've covered directly on this platform and channel, you also got to look at these cops, especially if it's like a small town and all this, everybody's in on this one big giant family. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. But let's continue.
You talk about the discussions for a deal with your country.
Très bien, merci. Bonsoir à vous.
Thank you very much. Good evening to you. We are looking for partnerships, and we have established partnerships with many other countries, and we think the United States of America, given its role and influence around the world, is an important partner to have. And we are very happy to see that with the Trump administration, things are moving a lot faster on both sides.
Untapped deposits are worth an estimated $24 trillion. What would you need to happen to move forward with that relationship?
We want to extract these minerals, but also process them, as this would create a lot of jobs. And we want a partnership that will provide lasting peace and stability for our countries, which we need.
It's a dangerous place, the Congo. How would a U.S. company guarantee safety on the ground?
We can build our defense and security capabilities. And I think that the U.S. is able to use either pressure or sanctions to make sure that armed groups who are in the DRC can be kept at bay.
So we got the Congo, who has a lot of resources, a lot of minerals, asking the United States, like, hey, we need y'all to, come over here and do some things. And, for that, we will also share our resources directly with you. I'll sit up there and say this. I understand why it is that this, representative, whoever wants to sit up there and do it, it's in a sense the quickest and it's the easiest route to, get things done, especially if you got the United States protecting and backing you. Oh yeah, not a lot of people are going to try to mess with that, especially the ones that are internally there. They're not going to really try to, in a sense, mess with that, right? United States got a whole bunch of armaments, power, all that other type of stuff, right? Stuff that the ground soldiers really don't have there, right? The main thing that I would love for the Congo to do would be, respectively, work with one of their other nations there to gain control over the areas there and to clear out anything that needs to get cleared out so that you can start building up the necessary infrastructure for security, for protection, to properly mine your resources so that you can stay enriched. Because for me, I feel as though that the partnership, if it were to go down with the United States, it would be fairly lopsided and they will be gypped at the end of the day. They would not, in a sense, get the fair shake that they should specifically be getting. And again, I'm tired of seeing resources that specifically are in Africa, where the people are, and the people not being able to profit at least 100%, or at least in a higher 90 percentile specifically of their land and their resources. That's crazy to me. That just shouldn't be. The United States will never allow somebody else to come directly into the United States and profit more than what the United States would be able to profit from. If anything, the United States will be like, all right, you can do a little bit of something here, but we're going to get the lion's share directly of that. You'll be able to get whatever it is that you get. We'll give you like 25, 30% or whatever. Maybe we might even push that to about maybe like 40, right? But we're still going to take the lion's share portion of that. We're still going to have the majority control and rule, over this. So again, I'm not trying to see the exact same thing historically that has been happening to Africa and its nations in 2025. I'm not. Like I said, I would rather them go with one of their, other nations there in order to get the things done so that they can share those type of resources and everything between themselves and empower and enrich themselves. Because realistically, that's what that's what needs to happen, in order for Africa to move forward and, its people. Just saying. But let's continue.
Get out my block! But there's no way this nigga for real. This nigga for real. Hey, this nigga some friends. You got this out? Hey, bro, you better back your ass. This nigga, hey, this scorpion tripping. Get out my block! Hey, hold on, bro. I'm finna whip this nigga. Get out my block! Oh, niggas gotta get out my block! Hey! Go in the house, Oscar! Oscar! Hey, Oscar, you better listen. I'ma still out for you. I'm not, bro. Don't come over here. Hey, on the third end, listen. These niggas all rape my mother. Bro, watch out. Don't do it. No! Get out my block! Tripping. Bro, watch out, bro. We leaving, bro. Go! Go! Just now, Oscar. Go in the house. Tripping. Go! Go!
Hey, you want me to?
What's the pay for that, bro? He is, and his uncle that lives there. I got you. Go in the house! Oscar, get your ass in the front.
This nigga tripping, huh?
I got you, dude. Go in the house!
Came out the house dressed like Scorpion. Ain't even Halloween with a chain and everything.
I've had enough of this shit. I've been dealing with it years. Sorry, dude.
That's crazy, bro.
I'm so sorry.
Who's about to get it?
He's crazy.
I see,
crazy.
bro.
He's crazy.
Damn. I know you living. Hey, I was like, damn, bro, and I'm really not trying to, you know what I'm saying? People are already mental. I ain't trying to. I ain't gonna lie, if he hit you, I was like, nah, we finna. That shit crazy.
Look at had a whole knife.
Boy, he came up there be like a gladiator. Crazy. That's great, bro. Schizophrenic with real weapons.
That's crazy. Like I said before, obviously you can tell that this person is not, of course, all there at all. But for the most part, they decided to come directly out the house and do that. Again, like, huh? So I'm like, so you be having white folks up out there, but more than likely, Oscar ain't trying to roll up out the house and do that. He sees some black guys out there shooting a music video. Y'all got to get off my block, huh? So I'm like, hold on, whoa. Hold on, wait. Even in your disabled state, you can still somehow find a way to be racist. Like, you can't make this up. Like, that's crazy to me. That is 100% crazy to me. I'm like, yo, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? You came, like, none of those. Now, at any point in time, those black dudes could have sat up there and just like swung on Oscar. He would have just been like laying down fatality, right? Brutality, right? That's what would have happened. Shell condom real quick, uppercut, bow, uppercut, bow, uppercut, bow. That's it. But they didn't do that. You even heard the brother film. He was like, yo, you want me to, because he sat up there and broke that dude's window for no reason. Nobody antagonized him. Nobody was sitting up there talking to him, nothing. People didn't even know he was there up until he decided to come dressed out like he was an extra for Mortal Kombat. Some crazy work, babality. Like, it's crazy how this works. It's crazy. But like I said, people always want to, roll up and say that black people are the only ones focused on, color and act, a certain type of way. There's no reason for him to have done anything like that. Them black dudes are minding their own business. They were pretty much quiet directly on that block. Cars parked directly on the side of the street like any normal person. Cars were not blocking the street or blocking somebody else's driveway, whatnot, or whatever. None of those things took place. It was no type of antagonizing or anything. But yet, this is what we get. It's crazy. It's crazy work. Crazy. Let's continue.
Messages to the one and only Flagey Johnson. If you're not Flagey, you keep on damn scrolling. Now, sis, hold up. I got a letter in the mail. Now, I'm assuming I show my address, but ain't that you? Ain't that you? That is you. So this letter in the mail, it says, Dear Kiala, congratulations. You are the beneficiary of an extraordinary act of kindness made possible by Experian, who has teamed up with LSU Tiger star athlete and musical artist Flagey Johnson. As part of the bigger than basketball campaign, we are thrilled to share that your outstanding consumer debt on the above listed account has been fully relieved. Your balance is now zero. Come on. Let me clap your hands. Look. Let me tell you something. I had this debt I've been had since 2017. It's saying on here. This account was from 2017. And I just knew. I knew in my heart I wasn't paying that. I said, look, y'all have to punish my good old check because I ain't got no money. I ain't got it. But baby, come on, Flagey! Let's go, girl. And the name of the company is Forgive Co. Forgive Co. Forgive Co. What they said this is a one-time act of kindness. That's all you need is one act. One. Come on. He said I'd be a ram in the bush. And in this case, he's Flagey. Thank you, girl. That's all. Bye.
So let me just replay that real quick. The reason why I wanted to replay this well, not replay it, but to show it off is this is what it looks like when you have somebody who has a position where they have, some celebrity, they got some money, and they're putting that to use in order to help out those who have less than directly in the community. The woman that you see directly in front of you obviously has some type of debt dealing with money, and whatever company that Flage is specifically working with, they, I guess, picked her name out of a hat or however it worked, and they were like, "No problem, we got you. We're going to sit up there, whatever. What was it like? 5, 6, 9, 10, $10,000 in debt? No problem. That's erased. You no longer have that. That was the one blessing that we're going to sit up there and give to you, and there you go." That's the most beautiful thing that I have seen so far, and I wish that we will be able to see more of this, specifically when it deals with the black community, when it deals with those who have money, and things of that nature. Again, I'm not sitting up there saying that those people basically owe me, anything or whatnot. I'm not sitting up there saying that. I'm just simply saying that that would be, pretty dope. That would alleviate so much weight, emotional distress, from a lot of people, because a lot of people right now are facing a tremendous amount of hardships, and a lot of people are worried about the debts that they have incurred, over time, either if it's a loan or what have you. And like I said, something like that is freeing to a lot of people. So again, felt that was a very beautiful thing. Let's continue.
I don't know. This jump been happening, but it's on my heart right now. I'm just walking on Peter Street. Y'all know that building right there? That's Halo. That's my building. Esco is right here in front of me, and in the back there is Pamper. I shut Pamper down. I do a lot for the, all that, do a lot for community stuff, but really my businesses, they help women. You know what I'm saying? Esco is mostly women that work there. The nail shop is all women. Pizza store, obviously Candyland, but for a girl that was working in there for me, with me, Dom, to go back in there and steal all the stuff out of there, the TVs, the sofas, I'm gonna be able to get it, but I just feel like, I mean, it's been happening. I don't know why I'm walking with Halo. He asking all these questions like, why all the stuff gone? Because the girl went back in there and stole everything out of there. And I ain't gonna press charge. I ain't gonna do nothing. But I just want you to see this and feel this.
So let me just further explain. So 2 Chainz is stating how it is that he owns businesses and he does things, for the community. And one of the businesses that he owns, there was a girl that basically worked for him. There was a woman that worked for him, and she decided that she wanted to roll back through there and she wanted to steal items out of there, like TVs, couches, all this other type of stuff. And because he was, replying to, I'm taking it that was his son directly on the side, because he was saying like, yo, what happened to all the stuff? Why is the stuff gone? And I want to state that this is one of the very reasons why you have a lot of celebrities that don't want to help out those, like, let's say, friends or family directly in the community, or maybe just somebody random in the community. This is why a lot of them don't want to come back, and why a lot of them don't want to help, because they've been, stolen from. It can be friends, it could be family, it could just be other people directly on the street. Especially if you have money, you have a lot of people that will inevitably magically become friends. They'll become the greatest liars in the world, talking about, oh yeah, I messed with this person, all this other type of stuff, yada yada yada, whatnot or whatever. And some of those will be the same people that will feel entitled to that person's money and or status or connections, which again is a little bit weird. It's a little bit crazy, because whatever that person built up or earned themselves, that is theirs. If they decide to sit up and share it, they can share it. If they decide not to, then they decide not to. 2 Chainz decided that he wanted to empower and he wanted to, hire in and share things with those out there, all for this to sit up there and happen. So if 2 Chainz decided that he just wanted to, close up that shop, it is what it is. I wouldn't be mad. I would just feel sorry for the other people there that are workers. Because like I said before, it'd be like that. I'm pretty sure some of the other workers basically knew of whispers, words, or whatnot of what it was that she was plotting for what it was that she was going to sit up there and do. Like I said, that's crazy. That's 100% crazy to have a celebrity literally right there that you can see every single day. You can talk to, you can get business advice from. This person could probably even point you into the direction of another circle of celebrities that would also empower you and try to mentor you. And you mess all that up because of whatever reason. So now you want to go through his business and you want to steal things that don't belong to you. That's crazy. And Two Chains, being the street dude that he is, he like, yo, I ain't even gonna sit up there and like press charges. Nah, son, press charges. Skip all of that. This is business. We're not dealing with street. You ain't dealing with the hood dudes out here and all this. You dealing with a woman that stole from you. Press charges. I don't care who she press charges. She stole from you. At the end of the day, you're a businessman. This woman was working for your business. You employed her. She decided that for whatever reason she wanted to run back through there with the keys that she had to get in, and she wanted to steal stuff that ain't her. No, 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 son. You need to sit up there and sue her. Sue her for everything. I'm dead serious. And I'm sitting up there throwing charges, and I'm throwing her in jail. That's crazy. So with examples like this is why I don't get mad at celebrities when they state reasons of why it is that they don't want to help black people in the community. Because I've seen it too many times. You've even had like some young dudes who are hood, right? They might have been like a little bit like ignorant, right? A little bit of ignorant. But because of the way that they were raised and the fundamentals that were taught to them or placed within their being, given, the families or the teachers, whoever, basically touched them positively and affected them positively. It was like, okay, I sat up there and made it, no problem. I want to sit up there and roll through, with some money, and I want to start helping out the kids. Or I want to start, giving back. I want to start doing this and doing that. And what inevitably do we see quite almost every single time? Some other random bum that decides that they want to be jealous and envious, and they want to sit up there and snuff out that light real quick. So they'll roll through the scene. It don't even matter. Even if the kids are there, if the dude is sitting up there giving backpacks and shoes, they'll sit up there and roll up real quick, spray everything down. Don't even care if the kids and the parents there. Spray up the whole thing just to sit up there and do whatever. All to end up in jail. Like that. Like I don't even. It's not even worth it. So this is why you happen to see a lot of these black male celebrities either doing less or they're doing things in other communities. Because if they decide to come directly back to their own community, you have people that either rob them, they will misuse the trust given, or they'll take their life, or the fourth option is that they'll do all four. And then the fifth part of that option is that they'll then get online and start bragging about it. I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? I'm like, what? Like, what is wrong with y'all? Like I said, I can't like I have to step that back a little bit because I said because of jealousy and envious. Nah. You just got a lot of people out here that's just evil. Just to make it very plain, quick, cut and dry and simple. You have a lot of people out here that are just born evil. I'm sorry. There's no other way I can sit up there and put it. There's no other way I can sit up and put it because there's no excuse that you can specifically give for people doing stuff like this. Given the huge opportunity, like if at any, if Two Chainz set up there and hired me, brother, let me tell you something. I'll be sitting up there, cleaning floors, window, whatever needs to sit up there. That's going to sit up there and be done. Because in my mind, I understand that, hey, if I'm showing him how effective and how great I am as a worker, that's going to open up the doors for me to potentially get around, other celebrities and be able to, potentially get do other things, right? Maybe they might see hear a good idea that I have, and maybe they want to take partnership, and they might want to invest helping me push forward quicker than what I might be able to do by myself. Like I said, and because of actions like this, all it takes is one person to mess up that will inevitably affect everybody else. Because now I'm pretty sure Two Chainz is like, yep, well, that's my last time sitting up there trusting people. It's going to be 60 feet back. 60 feet. Let me tell you. It's crazy. Mm, mm, mm. Crazy work. Crazy work. Mm-mm-mm. Let's continue.
Okay, I'm back. I'm better when I answer this. Respectful question. Why is it so hard for white women to form a sisterhood community? Buckle up. So there's a short answer to this and a long answer to this and a lot of nuance, but I'm going to give you my take. And here it is. White women have a really hard time forming a sisterhood community because we don't trust each other. And we don't trust each other because we treat each other the way that we treat black women when black women are not around. And I'm going to explain that. So here's the thing about whiteness. Whiteness, like, this is how I conceptualize it. Whiteness is a fractal, right? So a fractal is a shape that is the same at large scale as it is at small scale. Tree, branch, twig. That's a fractal. Whiteness works the same way. Whiteness structures itself the same way in the nation that it does in the community, that it does in the family. And that happens because whiteness, to me anyway, is a set of values, not necessarily a set of beliefs. And I'm talking about whiteness as like distinct from white supremacy. This is just like, this is the value system that kind of our country is based on, kind of a lot of us were raised with. And it's not predicated on belief. You can change your beliefs and still be in the value system of whiteness. So this is just how I conceptualize it to myself. So the thing that whiteness, one of the things that whiteness values a lot is hierarchy. And it's a very specific kind of toxic hierarchy where all of the good stuff goes up and all of the bad stuff goes down. So the higher you are in the hierarchy, the more benefit of the doubt you get, the more accommodations you receive, the more people are willing to like humor you, the more power you get, whether it's political, social, monetary power. Just the more protection and status you have. The lower you are in the hierarchy, the more you get shit on. The lower you are on the hierarchy, the less respect you're entitled to, the less care, the less concern. And the people lower down on the hierarchy are also the receptors of a lot of redirected negative emotions from the people higher on the hierarchy. And for example, people who are born in the white women box are heavily socialized to redirect their anger away from the people above them and down to the people below them, right? That's why you'll see a white woman who got cheated on her husband go into a store and make a cashier cry, right? Who got cheated on her husband? Blech. Or like a white woman who like got yelled at by her boss, goes home and shits all over her kids, right? Because white women are heavily socialized to redirect that anger downward. And the thing is, that hierarchy exists no matter who's there. So as soon as a black woman comes in, she's automatically at the bottom of the hierarchy and she gets all the shit. But if there are no black women or whatever, or like other people who are lower on the hierarchy, then white women will do it to each other. Every white woman I know has a story of being abandoned, abused, exploited, like by a white woman she considers a friend. And so we don't trust each other. And because I think we think of white supremacy as a set of beliefs and not think about the values aspect of whiteness, it's really hard for us to deconstruct why we treat each other that way. And I think it's really hard for us to actually build a true sisterhood community that's not just based on like support all women except for the ones I don't like. And the thing about it is, one last thing, I don't want to ramble too much, but the one last thing about it is that hierarchy exists, that value system exists everywhere. You can see it in small southern white women church community, and you can also see it in white women coded, well, I mean, white men do it too, but you can also see that hierarchy in white leftist spaces, progressive blue leftist spaces, it's pervasive and it's harmful. And I think it's something that we really need to talk about deconstructing in terms of how we interact with each other. So that's my take. Let me know what you think.
That's crazy. But in a sense, that's something that I pretty much figured at a point in time, because you can look at white women on social media when they are amongst themselves and how it is that they tend to talk and argue about politics and left and right and all of these things. Yeah, there's really no type of actual sisterhood directly there. Case in point, you can look at how the voting took place in the election, right? How many, white women voted specifically for all of these things to get stripped of white women versus the ones that voted opposite, right? And you have the white women who, quote unquote, voted along with black women, be like, man, yo, we still in general messed up because the greater majority of white women voted directly for Trump, and they did this and they did that, whatnot, whatever. And white women are online sitting up there trying to apologize to black women for the whole of white women because of what it is that they specifically caused and allowed to take place. And then you have the other white women who voted directly with Trump, and they're now seeing the fallout and how things are, in a sense, getting ready to go, and they're staying directly silent. Crazy work. Now, both pairs of white women both have white men, right? They're part of the exact same system, but one acts differently than the other. One will sit up there and sacrifice every single thing, no matter if it hinders or prevents them from moving forward or doing the things they specifically need to sit up there and do. It's like, I'd rather sacrifice all of this and be under this protection versus allowing anybody else that don't look like me to have any type of, laws or rules that are going to protect them and do all of these things. We're not going to sit up there and do that. And that's what white women specifically voted for and made sure was going to sit up there and happen. Crazy work. 100%. 100%. But because of a lot of the media and the different things out here, they've made sure to give a lens or a point of view to, in a sense, try to tell people that white women have some type of cohesive relationship amongst one another, when realistically they are ultra divided. And there's a multitude of other videos, just like this woman here. There's a multitude of other white women who have talked about this as well. And just like she explained, it was like, hey, if black women, or notice she didn't listen to nobody else. She was like, black women. It was like, we don't care about anybody else. It's not even on radar. If black women ain't there, we don't, have anybody to basically pick on. We don't have anybody to throw things directly at, because we're getting treated a certain type of way by the men of, our community, by the husbands, the brothers, the uncles, the grandfathers, right? So then they will decide to take the two options of either turning directly on the kids, aka the family, and doing a variety of things and saying a variety of things, because how it is that they feel internally and how it is that they can't vocally go to said person and verbally defend themselves because they know what's going to happen. Sarah, Barbara, whatever it is going to get that nice backhand real quick to relax. Sean Connery style. Matter of fact, do I got that video? Let me just add that up in there, because that was some crazy work too. Let me see if I can actually find that real quick, because there is a old clip of Sean Connery. Got it. Just go off of the whole thing of me sitting up there saying that Barbara or Sarah is going to get slapped. Let's go to Sean Connery real quick. Take this way back to the 90s.
You did an interview, which may come back to haunt you. You know what I'm going to say, right?
No.
Okay. You did an interview in which you said, it's not the worst thing to slap a woman now and then. As I remember, you said you don't do it with a clenched fist. It's better to do it with an open hand. Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I didn't love that.
I haven't changed my opinion.
You haven't?
No. Not at all.
You think it's good to slap a woman?
No, I don't think it's good.
I don't think it's bad.
I don't think it's that bad. I think that it depends entirely on the circumstances and if it merits it.
What would merit it?
Well, if you have tried everything else, and women are pretty good at this, they can't leave it alone. They don't want to have the last word, and you give them the last word, but they're not happy with the last word. They want to say it again, and get into a really provocative situation. Then I think it's absolutely right.
To give her a good slap?
Yeah, absolutely.
What if she gives you a good slap back?
Well, then you get into another area. I mean, then maybe she's getting to like it, and then it becomes something else. I don't know. But seriously, I think that it's the last resort. He's not going to do it because he wants to do it.
Wait till people see this interview. Are you going to get mail?
Might get some female.
That is crazy. But like I said, Sean Connery, he stood 10 toes directly on that. He was like, he believes in giving a good, open-handed slap directly to a woman if she's out of place, and if she decides to say this and say that, because you got to do that to set them straight. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And I'm like, that man actually said that, and he doubled down on it, and he did not budge or move. Barbara Walters, she was just sitting there with her jaw on the floor, literally. But I'm pretty sure in Barbara's day, she's gotten a few hands. I'm pretty sure. Like I said, she is she was a smaller woman because she's no longer around. She was a smaller woman, and I'm pretty sure usually women who are shorter tend to date taller guys. So I'm pretty sure, especially back in those days, she got some hands put directly on her. Crazy work, though. Crazy work. And she really thought that he wasn't going to double down or repeat that because out of fear of people, sending him, back in the day, what people used to do before the internet was hugely popular, they used to write letters. That's something that a lot of folks aren't growing up on or don't even know how to properly do. So yeah, that's how old this video is. It's crazy work. That is crazy work. But like I said before, this is how normally white men see their women. They're like, oh, you getting a little bit too mouthy. I didn't ask you to, tell me this or that or to try to give me bow, few slaps, bow, double slap, bow, triple slap, combo breaker, that whole type of thing. But a lot of people don't want to happen to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the dynamics when it deals with white men in relationships with women and how it is that those women are seen, deemed, and treated. People always try to make it seem as though that, oh, it's just the perfect, type of life. No other man out there in the world is like them. They're so, respectful. They value the women. They love them and they give them the world and all of these things. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, because when I look at videos of white women explaining about the white men of their families, I'm like, yeah, somebody's sitting up here lying, and I know for sure it's not the white woman up here lying. Because when they're fed up and when they're tired, they're going to sit up there and let you know a multitude of ways. On top of the fact of, putting a little bit of something directly in your coffee, and you might not even be here. So, like I said, but hey, some people want to believe in fairy tales. People want to believe in that fantasy Cinderella, type of thing. It's crazy work. It's crazy. Shane was like, I didn't even know that Sean Connery was bald. He wore a wig the whole time. Yeah. During that timeline, a lot of people was wearing like a hairpiece, aka Steve Harvey. Like that man I thought Steve Harvey just had like the perfect fro. I'm like, man, I want my fro to, be like Steve Harvey and all this, looking back, when I was younger, like whenever you saw Steve Harvey's hair, you never saw a piece of hair, a fragment of hair out of place. I've never seen it out of all of the times that I watched the Steve Harvey show. Now, when it dealt with like hanging with Mr. Cooper and whatnot, you were able to see that, right? If you look at Parenthood with Robert Townsend, you can sit up there and see that. Steve Harvey, he ain't never had that man. Let me tell you, the mustache and whatever fro he had was perfect. Crazy work. Crazy work. But I was gonna say, oh yeah, I do got another video directly up here. Let me put this, give this right to you guys. Let's see what this man has to say.
Makes sense, you make sense. If I'm a taxpayer, I feel like I pay money, I pay taxes, but I don't get health care. I have to buy insurance. So if I buy insurance, I get health care. Well, not really. I get access to a system that maybe will deny me my health care. We have been sold the lie that capitalism is synonymous with the land of opportunity. That capitalism is a system that allows people to freely build businesses and build wealth by raising themselves up by their own bootstraps. When in reality, capitalism is a system by which the rich stay rich and the poor get poor. And we know that because the top 10% own 60% of the entire country's wealth, while the 90% of us just share the remaining 40% of money. Government's job is supposed to keep that exploitative system in check and work for us. Collectively, when we pay taxes, it's supposed to be us pooling our money together to pay for things like the Department of Justice, which hires over 10,000 lawyers in field offices across the country so that they sue big businesses and corporate landlords that price gouge us. We pay taxes, it should go to us getting the same high quality government provided health care that elected officials get. When we pay taxes, we're supposed to be supporting social safety nets like food stamps. When times get tough, we can actually fucking use them. People shouldn't have to be working 2 to 3 jobs in order to make ends meet. But that's the fucking problem. That's not how government has been working for the longest time. We've allowed billionaires and big corporations to create organizations like super PACs to bypass laws to funnel millions of dollars in donations to Congress people to keep their interests in mind, and the people who raise the most money usually become the leaders. The answer to all of this is simple. Running on messages that keep billionaires in check, like taxing the rich, creating programs and legislation that actually help people on their day-to-day, like universal health care, raising the minimum wage, expanding food stamps, and going after landlords that make it too motherfucking expensive to live. Simple.
So that goes into the extent of what I was talking about, I want to say yesterday, or maybe the day before, where you have the poor versus the rich. And how it is that we have a system that is meant to keep us in a perpetual circle of dependency and poverty, right? It's a system that's built to make sure that you don't dream, right? That you don't have any type of hope or any type of wishes of doing better. You're just going to do as they specifically tell you to do, no more, no less. And that's exactly what it is. That's in a sense what you can see at this moment in time, where they'll hand out a few trinkets. We've seen that with quite a few black workers over the years, where somebody might have had a tenure at a job for about 25 years, and the company notices, and they'll send them a simple small white box, a couple of plastic toys, a keychain with a mint, and a card that'll say thank you for your 25 years. At that moment in time of receiving anything of that type of disrespect, and especially being black, it's time to just put in your letter to resign, or however it is that things need to be done, because that's immensely disrespectful. Because the funniest thing is, dealing with other corporations and businesses, when it deals with white folks and they've been somewhere 25 or 30 years, I've seen people receive some very nice gifts. I've seen a great detail of respect, in a sense, given to those folks. But whenever it happens to be black people, given their life, given their time, and of course, a lot of black people out here, they may have families, be married and everything like that. So they're giving away their time from their relationship and their kids in order to give it up for this company to hopefully make it through the ranks and to be acknowledged for the hard work and the dedication and many sacrifices that they've done. And you don't get nothing. You're just a number on the board. And this is what I try to explain to a lot of the black people directly out there. And again, I'm not sitting up there saying that everybody is meant to, in a sense, do this. Because again, shout out to everybody out there that works, a 9 to 5. Right? Some people love working their 9 to 5. I, at one moment in time, I was the exact same way. Like when I had the job that I had, I'm like, yo, I love this job. I'm gonna, come here and always find, something fun to do. I got, great relationships here with, some of the people that I work with. So there were things there that were, enjoyable. I had reasons why I wanted to stay, and reasons why I wanted to, do better. And potentially at maybe at one point in time, like maybe, hey, let me, try to go for, management, and then let me try to go, higher than that, and, all of those things. But as I've stated before, we are just, especially if you're black, you are just a number on the board. If you're not one of these individuals out here that's bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, directly to these companies, then just good luck. At the end of the day, good luck. Like they're not going to, you know, do anything. Ooh, see a picture online where it says the Mississippi Sheriff's Office searched inmate cells and discovered a stash of electronics. That's crazy. Hold on, let me tell you something. Let me just show y'all this real quick. I got like two images. Like it's crazy work how you can look at certain stuff directly online and you can see some of these people in prison living what almost seems to be like living better than a lot of people out here. Look at this. This dude is locked up. Locked up, right? You got the bed directly on the side and whatnot. You would have thought that this dude sat up there and just like robbed a whole like convenience store and just ran out. Like this dude had the largest duffel bag in the world. This man had like, a little dump truck or something like that. Fisher Price dump truck. Just pulled up to the scene and everybody just like grabbed hands, all hands on deck, and they just started like, funneling stuff directly into the truck and just dipped off. Cause that's crazy. Like this dude got a few rolls. He got some honey buns there. I'm trying to look at that real. Hold on, let me go back to X real quick. I gotta blow that picture up. Hold on. So let me see what this dude got. He got umpteen bags of Lay's. Like, I swear they just stole this. I see some Fanta directly in the court. I think that's a strawberry Fanta. They got some hot Cheetos. They got the Doritos over there. They got some Lay's. What's the other? I don't think that's. It's another yellow bag directly over there. They got ramen. They got the beef ramen over there too. See, yo, let me tell you, the cookies and cream Hershey. Let me tell you, that's where it's at. I just want to let people know, if you never had the cookies and cream Hershey before, you might want to go out there and try that. Just one good time. Tastes great. This man got the lemon he got the lemon cookies, and then he got the vanilla and the chocolate sides at the bottom. He got, what else he got? I don't see no honey buns down there though. What's going on? But yeah, that man, he living large. Let me tell you something. That's quite a bit of food. You can do something with that. Especially like you locked up, you can do something with that. That's a bartering system right there. That man got a bank. Especially with the exorbitant prices and the fees. That they sit up there and charge people for commissary. That's some crazy type stuff right there. And then the other image, now this is the one I was telling y'all about before, where they said, let me go back to what they said. This was a picture of the Mississippi Sheriff's Office searched their inmates' cells and discovered a stash of electronics. That's crazy. Let me just zoom this in for myself. Yo, I don't even have that many cell phone cords directly in my house. Like at a moment in time, like I have to, sit up there and try to find my phone charger. I'm pretty sure everybody else has had to do the exact same thing. I see some brand new C-type chargers that are still technically in the wrapper. They got a multitude of different plugs. I can tell you that some of those plugs that they got are more than likely fast charging plugs. Those are actually pretty good. I think that's a power cell directly up there, the cylinder up top. That's a power battery. And then they have, now if you look directly in the middle of the screen, the device that you see where you see the left and the right with the joysticks, that's specifically the game on your phone. So if you got stuff on Google Play and whatnot, have the phone sideways, hook that up, and now you can play, some racing games and different things like that. Got a little assortment of headphones, wireless, and they got some Apple. They got an Apple phone up. That's crazy, yo! How much money they be having, locked up? Like I said, craziest video I ever seen was some of these dudes playing a game system online, like playing Call of Duty online in jail or prison. I'm like, bro, how you doing this? You got some kids out here that can barely, do that at a point in time, but you got a full flat screen TV. Y'all got two controllers, the system hooked up, and I'm like, brother. I'm like, if they happen to show off stuff like that, you're gonna have a lot of people like, yo, I want to get locked up. I'm not trying to do, because like I said before, some people are like, man, all I do is pretty much game and all this other type of stuff. If I can just go to prison and sit there and do that, it's whatever then. Because a lot of people like, yo, I'm not trying to pay, five, six, $9,000 to sit up there and have a shoebox. It's like, this ain't it. And on top of paying the exorbitant, prices, when it deals with your apartment or whatnot or whatever, you got your car, you got your car just in general, dealing with the engine, the tires, and everything like that. You got the insurance, you got the tags, you got your license, and probably something else that I may be missing as well. On top of the insurance that you gotta have specifically for yourself, being able to hold down a job, being able to go buy groceries. Then you got to worry about an electric bill. You got to worry about a cable bill. You got to worry about a cell phone bill. And all of these other, like I said, it's crazy work. It's crazy work. I can see how a lot of people like, hey, I'm about to just go get locked up real quick. I can see it. I can 100% understand it, but that's crazy. But like I told people before, I feel as though that a lot of people are living pretty well in when it deals with prison. It's crazy. Crazy work. Let's see what else we got here. I'm looking at some Dragon Ball Z stuff, people in elevators. Just rolling through real quick to see if I might pull up another video real quick. Anyways, also, how's everybody doing? Much love, respect, and appreciation. Just want to, put that out there, check on people, because, a lot of y'all are here a lot of the times. Oh, we got the, do got that black-owned grocery store, but does this have music? That's the thing. Yeah, it does. Can't do it. Can't do it. But that black-owned store is dope, though. That's dope, though. AJ Lee. What else we got? DL Hughley calls out hypocrisy of white people who complained about Kendrick Lamar not having white people in the Super Bowl performance while ignoring the absence of black people in Donald Trump's cabinet, and says to gain membership in Black MAGA, you have to say horrible things about black people and use Kanye West as an example. Do I really feel like I would have to do that later? Got music. Can't do that. I don't even feel like trying to edit that out real quick. Let me see what y'all saying over here. Let me see. Said, nah, I ain't trying to be around that many men just for some electronics and a cup of noodles. Any, what is up? What is up? Jackson Wright means a group. Oh, you responded to somebody else. Okay. So yeah, a lot of y'all just having conversations about some other stuff. So let me see what else we got. Yo, what did that to that shark? That is crazy. Man, that's some crazy work. What happened to that shark, though? I think that might just be it. Because technically, this live stream is supposed to be, it was supposed to happen, normally at about like 12 or like 1 o'clock. So we a little bit late, little bit late, but it'd be like that. Wow, that's crazy. So I didn't even know that's what her husband even looks like. Let me highlight this real quick. That's crazy. That's not supposed to happen. That's unheard of for me. I just gotta highlight this real quick because dealing with celebrities. So you got the lady here named Quinta Bronson. Well, I'm not sure if that's the last name given by way of her husband, but she is supposedly filing for divorce from her husband. That's great. I could have sworn somebody said that this is supposed to be like the perfect, matrimony, marriage. It goes for like, forever, a lifetime, eons. And this woman is sitting up there getting divorced. That's a little bit weird. Like that's crazy. Somebody in the comment section said probably got jealous of her success. How would he be jealous though? Because normally what a lot of people like to say is that, white dudes got money, they're rich, they're powerful, all this, the power structure, yada, yada, yada. So why would a white man be jealous of what a black woman is doing when white men have quote unquote ran the world, running the governments, the economy, and all these other types of things? I'm a little bit confused. And again, I just want to note this is the first time that I even seen what her husband looks like. First time. Like, that's crazy. Man. And then on top of that, so if she filed for the divorce, oh man, I wonder if how those divorce proceedings going to sit up there and look, because she been making money. Because if it is the case that dude is making less, if you don't got no prenup, you gonna be paying some money. It be like that. And I see a lot of other people in the comment section actually pretty shocked to find out that she is married to a white guy. Yeah, because like I said, I didn't know. Did not know at all. That is something. It's crazy work though. Very very interesting. Very interesting. Let me see. Wood said it's crazy how black gangs in LA have smoke for black folks from other cities for not checking in, but don't have any smoke for the anti-black Hispanics. Matter of fact, let me pull that video up because I think that's a good one. I like that conversation because that's facts. And I've said like this whole check-in culture is stupid because black people are the only ones that try to make other black people, if they're famous, they're the only ones that try to make other black people supposedly quote unquote check in. Like, that's the dumbest thing I ever seen in my life. What, you about to make somebody check in, what, so you can extort them for money? Like, that don't even make any sense. Like, people really try to make it seem like they have some type of like ownership and they running the city. I'm like, dog, you can't close down or shut down any of these multi-million or billion-dollar corporations. Like, they'll sit up there and actually get the police or the military or a privatized police force to get you on up out of there one way or another. So I'm like, it's crazy to act like you really running something and you not. Like, but you can't tell nobody nothing. Let's go to that real quick. Hold on, let me
Makes sense.
Wait, we already did that one, right? Did we? Yeah, we did that one. Yeah. Wait, did we do the Jon Stewart? Yeah, I think we did. Let me highlight this brother real quick. Let me just put that up there.
How those Hispanics treated black people at Ryder's Logistics, it was horrible. They made they created two different production lines. One for Hispanics, where the Hispanics was doing all the easy work, and then another production line for the black people, where they did all the hard labor. And then on top of that, they make the black people work 16-hour shifts. They wouldn't give them breaks. Matter of fact, they were really derogatory, telling them, oh, you're big and black. You don't deserve a break. You could work through it. And then this black woman, she told her testimony how they used to call her ancient mama and the N-word in Spanish. And she reported it to her supervisors, but her supervisors were also Hispanic. And you know what they told that black lady? Oh, that's their culture. Oh, it's your culture to be racist, anti-black. They treated all the black people there horribly. Right? Even the black man, they called them silverback gorillas and was waving bananas at them. And nobody did anything about this. Because, mind you, the supervisors are also Hispanic. It's our culture. The white man had to step in and hit him with that lawsuit. Look it up. Riders Logistics lawsuit, Southern California.
The black workers also were doing the heaviest or the hard manual labor, heavy lifting, and the non-black workers were doing the lights, easy work, light work. We were working these long hours and sweating, and the supervisors wouldn't let the black workers get water or take bathroom breaks. We had to wait. They said, you're big and black, you can keep working.
Let's see that. See what the man was talking about. Riders Logistics lawsuit. Ooh. We're gonna go to Bloomberg Law real quick. So let me just put this real quick. All right. They're talking about something. But let me see. Let me turn off the block real quick, see if that works. Nope. Let me go to another site. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. That's the only thing that I basically hate with some of these paper to support. I'm not trying to even read the whole context. I just want the news story. I just want to just simplify it real quick. That's Amazon Logistics lawsuit. Lyft responds after woman files. We're not even don't even care about that. Transportation. Cyclist. Brother. But yeah, they had it. Just to put okay. Thanks for the AI. So, Ryder Integrated Logistics has faced multiple lawsuits and settlements, including a $2 million settlement with the EEOC for alleged racial discrimination and harassment, and a $2.95 million class action settlement after alleged California labor law violations. Number one, the EEOC lawsuit, racial discrimination and harassment. The EEOC alleged that Ryder Integrated Logistics, along with staff agency Kimco Staffing Services, created a hostile working place environment for African American employees, including racial slurs and epithets. The settlement, Ryder and Kimco settled the lawsuit for a total of $2 million, with each company paying $1 million. Injunctive relief. In addition to the monetary settlement, the settlement included significant injunctive relief to address the issues. EEOC statement. EEOC Chair Charlotte A. Burrows stated that the case underscores the reality of racial harassment and retaliation in workplace and the importance of preventing and correcting such issues. Kimco Staffing Services was also a party to the lawsuit, and they have also agreed to the settlement. Number two, class action lawsuit, California labor law violations. Claim Ryder employees estimate that 5,375 hourly or non-exempt current and former employees allege that Ryder violated California labor laws. The settlement, the parties reached a settlement of $2.95 million proposed class. The proposed class consisted of employees who worked in California from 2018 to 2024. Settlement approved. The court was asked to preliminarily sign off on a settlement. Private Attorney General Act, or the PAGA. The settlement was a class action and Private Attorney General Act settlement. And then they go into other Ryder lawsuits with one with Cobra, I guess. Ryder Systems agreed to pay $390K to settle a class action lawsuit claiming it violated federal law by failing to provide significant COBRA or COBRA notices. truck accident lawsuit. The fiance of a man that lost his life in a fiery crash involved a 18-wheeler is suing the commercial trucking company and the driver of said truck. Yeah, that's crazy. So like I said, it's right there in black and white. Obviously you have a history of racism, at least in California, when it deals with riders, especially if you got the Latins directly out there running things. They want to, throw some slurs out there and all of these other types of things. I guess that goes directly with that quote unquote black and brown coalition that a lot of people tend to always want to bring up and talk about. Because I ain't seeing that there. You can't sit up and say there's a black and brown coalition when you have said individuals directly in power and black people are still treated less than. They still got to deal with racism and all of these other things. Like I said, that's crazy work. That is crazy, crazy work. Crazy work. So let's see what this dude is let me see if we got the tick. Yeah, got that then. All right, so I remember that. Let's see what this dude is talking about real quick. Got another one that looks a little bit interesting. We're gonna check this out real quick. See if I can get that. Put that directly up for you guys here.
Serious shit going down off the coast of Florida right now, and you're probably going to see a lot of videos over the next couple of days about what's happening. There's a group of whistleblowers, some claiming to be military personnel and sailors, going all around on X, Telegram, and even Reddit right now, talking about how the U.S. Navy, and this is according to them, okay, apparently discovered a huge ship that's underwater off the coast of Florida somewhere near Daytona Beach. Apparently, whatever this thing is, has sent numerous pulses of energy out and apparently knocked out power to a couple of the ships. This is all being reported by them, by the way, and apparently this thing is appearing on radar and then disappearing off of radar. I mean, there's some crazy shit going down. And now there's objects being seen off the coast of Daytona Beach. Numerous objects, might I mention, that seem as if they're coming out of the water and then flaring out into the sky that look literally as bright as the sun. I've seen these same exact objects appear in the sky over the Gulf of Mexico throughout the last couple of months now. I have no idea what they are, sometimes being chased by what looks to be military helicopters and what looks to be even fighter jets. And that just adds to all the rumors that have been coming out about some mothership appearing out there as well. Now apparently this has been occurring over the course of the last couple of days now, so I went to TikTok and I looked it up, and lo and behold, what do you know? There's actual videos of them appearing over the water, some literally flaring as bright as the sun. I have no idea what these objects could be, but I've seen literally about 200 of them since January. Every single time I try to post a video of them, my videos are always suppressed. So if you live in or anywhere around Daytona Beach, I need you to go outside. I need you to look in the sky and see if you see any of these objects, because I need an explanation real quick.
Right. And this is somewhat similar to the things that I've talked about before. I gave you guys I did a live stream or a video where one of the stories that was very large during the time of 2024 towards 2023, which was the kids that were at a mall in Florida, and you had literally cops from all over Florida, had helicopters and everything. And the main cover-up story that they gave people was that, oh, well, it was these groups of kids and they were causing, like a ruckus. It was a big fight. You don't need 100 cop cars to sit up there and deal with a few teens. That's not how that works. Like, that's a crazy amount of cops. And then on top of that, you're bringing in, some armored trucks and everything. You got helicopters. That's some crazy work. That seems a little bit too much to be dealing with that. And the other story that was stated from people who were there was that they saw a portal and they saw these beings. It could be aliens or whatever you want to call it, coming out of the portal, and they were just walking around. They were just there, right? They weren't doing anything to anybody. They were just, going around and doing whatever. And then I showed y'all a video after that where the Miami police magically, they got a TikTok of all things. They came out and it was making, like a joke about it. It was like, there were no aliens. It was just, this type of, disorder that was happening with people, and we had to come in and corral people. And the dude was trying to make a joke to be like, oh, there were no, aliens, or was there, right? And then he had a little cartoon alien sitting directly there, and they both shrugged. I'm like, okay, so this is y'all playing in people's faces, right? This is y'all playing in people's faces. And again, during that time, they were still trying to tell people that, oh, aliens don't exist, or there's no other type of life directly out there, right? Out of the whole universe, out of all of space and time, we are the only living things in this whole universe. That sounds completely stupid. I don't care how anybody feels about that. I do not care. I'm not going to believe that. Again, I've said this a multitude of times. I'm not going to believe that realistically we are the only intelligent life directly out here. If we are, that is a failure on everything. I'm just going to be honest. I'm just going to be honest. Do not sit up there and expect humanity to be able to, solve and save other civilizations directly out there when we can't even save ourselves. Like I said, we are not the brightest crayons in the box. I don't care how anybody feels individually or whatnot or whatever. I don't care what your education is. I'm talking about as humans directly on this earth. No. The amount of violence and crime that people do against one another. No. There has to be way more intelligent beings directly out here. I'm sorry. But besides that, this is when Trump came directly into office, either the first or the second time, and he decided to, sign an order for the Space Force. I'm pretty sure a lot of people just so happen to forgot about that. We actually have a Space Force, military Space Force. And again, it's like, why do we have a military Space Force if aliens don't exist, right? If people are going by the Bible and all of these things, right? Again, there's no such thing as aliens if we're going by the religion. There's no such thing as aliens, right? We are the only things here, right? We are the only things that were ever made of intelligence and consciousness and everything like that. The most important thing here, Earth. That's it. Everywhere else, it's just circles. It's just things directly out there. Even if they're in the Goldilocks zone of which life could be there, no. It's impossible, right? So then later on, the government is like, hey, guess what, guys? 2024, we just want to let you guys know that aliens do exist. We're going to show you some documentation. We're going to show you some proof. We're going to show you some video. We're going to, unclassify some things and yada, 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 all this other type of stuff. And magically, nobody blinked an eye. I'm like, y'all realize that the government just outwardly came out and honestly said, like, hey, we lied to you guys. We made you guys feel like fools. We told you guys what a conspiracy theorist was, and we made you list anybody that wanted to actually critically think as a conspiracy theorist in order to dismiss any facts that they may have or that nobody can specifically answer. And yeah, y'all fell for it, but hey, aliens exist, and mic drop. Crazy work. Like I said, the government can do anything at this moment in time, and nobody's going to care. It's crazy work. 100% crazy work. Diabolical. Tippy said, I wish I could be more superior than mankind. DT said, this is all Nikola Tesla from work. Miss Eve said, Jesus, take the West. Neil said, viruses are way more intelligent. Water bears. No, water bears are actually pretty dope. If I had to be, like a mutant, I would want not the look, but I would want the power of a water bear. Water bears are dope. Water bears are actually pretty dope. Pretty dope. A lot of people don't know about them, but water bears are dope. Miss Eve said, yeah, they do exist. Mia said, we were all correct. Yeah. Jason said, mic drop. What is it? Jason said, if you know, you know. Wooly said, I'm on what's swimming under my feet in the ocean. Maybe Mercedes. Nelson said, technically, angels are aliens. They were not born on Earth, but occupy it. I mean, if you want to try to go that far and, and say that, I mean, I guess. if you want to try to, wrap that in there, with the Bible and everything like that. This Tippy set up and said water bed. What? Water bear, Tippy. Water bear. This woman here, let me tell you something. Um, Philip said Emerald Bird said the Black Fury was coming in the future. Let me see. It's a good thing. Let me see. Let me see something. I got to type some stuff in. Let me see. What is it? Black Fury is a polearm for resistance made of phase 3 equipment. Several things, including a tribe of werewolf, the apocalypse game, superheroes, fish, da da da. More detailed breakdown. You can't really, in a sense, get anything directly on it, but I talked about Admiral Byrd before, and that was, I want to say, specifically about within a good 3 years, 3 to 4 years. I mentioned Admiral Byrd, and put that whole thing directly out there. That was quite a bit of a longer live stream too, because I think I went over some documents and different things like that, and a multitude of videos. And the main thing that Admiral Byrd stated, and I tried to tell other people, I'm like, hey, this dude was like, he went all over the world, and he said that there were continents past Antarctica. And people are like, no, that's impossible. The Earth is round, da da da, all this other stuff. Like, again, I'm not trying to sit up there and go into, is the Earth round? Is it a flap? Whatever people believe is whatever people believe. I'm not here to try to disprove that or whatnot, whatever. I'm just looking at the fact that somebody who was in the military specifically went on national TV and specifically told people that, hey, we got other continents, and the one that he saw was the same size or just as large as North America. I'm like, huh? Excuse me? And that's when I brought up the whole fact of the Antarctic Treaty and how it is that all of the nations can sit up there and go to war right now. The only place that they refuse to go to war and that they cannot go to war is Antarctica. And it's like, you have to ask yourself why. Out of all of the land masses that are deemed to be mineral rich, that are important, where people are fighting over land and religion and all this other type of stuff, why are none of these people fighting over Antarctica? Right? You don't hear anybody from Saudi Arabia talking about, like, yeah, we're going to throw like 300 billion to sit up there and buy this island over there in Antarctica. You don't hear that. You don't hear Bill Gates or Oprah talking about, like, yeah, I got some islands or some land over there and you don't hear none of that. And then on top of that, even when it deals with dignitaries, like, let's say if it's like a Putin, Biden, Trump, whoever, all of these government officials or even a priest, Catholic, the Pope himself, they got to have special clearance in order to go to Antarctica to be there. I'm like, that's a little bit. Nobody finds that suspicious. I'm like, out of all of the stuff that people want to sit up there and debate about, is like, everybody want to debate about Jesus, people want to debate about religion, all this other. I'm like, you got something real world wise here, where you got a treaty that you can look up, you can decide to research. You got somebody that basically told you, like, hey, ice walls and there's other folks beyond Antarctica and all this other land masses and whatnot. You got maps from the 15th century or whatnot that they found that show you other continent. I'm like, all right. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm just saying. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on. Just saying. Yes, there's a lot of stuff going on. Miss Eve said, okay, y'all, I can't comment for a while. Wait, you okay? Everything all right? Hopefully, everything is all right. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. Tippy said blue whales are huge, but I never actually seen one full size. If you go out in the ocean, you can find them. You got a better chance of seeing a blue whale than a hopefully I can say it correctly, a narwhal whale. which is basically the unicorn of all whales. I always thought that that was like a majestic looking whale, because I'm like, dog, why do you have one unicorn horn just like literally sticking out of your cranium? I'm like, that's a little bit like weird. I'm like, I've never seen that before. But I thought those are pretty cool and whatnot. Just throwing it out there. Philip said, we're getting too advanced for those folks. Miss Eve said, I have too much hair. I'm detangling and conditioning. Oh, okay. I thought like something happened like real quick. My bad. It was like as soon as she said that, I'm like, I could just see it like right now. Phone it's either one or two places. It's like directly because some people like to wash their hair in the kitchen. So wash hair directly in the kitchen sink, went directly from the kitchen sink, sitting somewhere in the kitchen detangling, or sitting on the couch. Or you went to the bathroom, went into the shower, bam, washed hair real quick, walked back into the room, detangling. Like I said, I don't know. It's just me. Like I could just see, but it's also more so due to the fact of growing up around women my whole life and seeing it. So it's like you can just see it. Jason said the Norwal is real. No. Trust me, I know that was one of the main things I had, and I wish I still had a lot of my old books and whatnot. I had a lot of old science books, and that was one of the main pictures that I remember that they showed for the first time, and I was like, that was dope. I'm like, I didn't even know things like that were even out there and whatnot. But yeah, like I said before, the other thing I want to point out as well, dealing with this whole thing with an Arctic Treaty and other things directly out there, people should do research on. I forgot specifically what it's called. Somebody will probably write in the comment section. But for women who are pregnant, they used to have these areas or these pools specifically that they could go to where women could be around dolphins. And dolphins, even though people want to call them like the clowns of the sea, dolphins are very smart, very, very smart. They can perceive a lot of things. And when you put a pregnant woman around dolphins, and especially around that child, something would specifically happen in between the dolphins and the child where they've stated that the IQ of said child ends up going higher than what it would normally be, on top of other things that specifically happen as well. And because of all of the research and the positive things that were happening with the dolphins and the pregnant women, they were like, we got to stop this from sitting up to happening, so we're gonna pretty much close this down and basically make this illegal or whatnot or whatever. And usually anytime that they just so happen to make stuff illegal, it's usually beneficial one way or another. Going to another extent, think about hemp, or think about marijuana, right? A lot of people focus on the fact of like, oh man, yeah, we want to be able to smoke and do this and that and da da da, right? That's cool, that's great. But other people out there think a little bit further. So if you take weed, hemp, whatever, you can throw that into biodegradable materials. So you can make, houses out of this stuff, right? You can make bricks. There's, videos or documentaries where people have showcased their hemp houses and how the climate control in that house is very much different from what you would have from your standard, issued house, and how you can use that same material and you can make floors. You can decide to make, safer products versus having plastic products and whatnot. You can also do the exact same thing with mushrooms. But it was stated that the reason that doesn't get used is because it would throw another source out of whack, right? So if you got these companies creating this plastic and they're able to make money directly from it, and you throw something that's biodegradable that can grow naturally, that anybody can grow directly out there, that upsets the balance of things, right? But these are the same people who stated that they wanted to get rid of carbon and they wanted to get rid of the plastics directly out there and all this other type of stuff. In a lot of instances, some of these plastics will be here for hundreds or thousands of years. Like they will far outlive us and they'll still be here. That's not how that should be working. Right? Whatever we decide to sit up there, unless it deals with precious metals, right? Outside of that, whatever we decide to build and make, it should not be able to, in a sense, outlive us like that, because that's going to cause further harm, directly to the lands of which, we live directly on. Is going to poison it and do, all of these things. Stuff is going to be falling into the natural aquifers, the natural waters that are, below the ground and whatnot. Like I said, it's a whole, other type of thing. Right. But again, everything is linked. Everything is linked. Sham said it's the wave frequency of sound. It's why classical music also makes your child IQ higher. Yeah, I spoke about that before going to private school. Shout out to Temple of Faith. Shout out to I forgot my teacher. I forgot her name, but it should have been. I want to say it should have been Miss Robinson during the time. I think she was subbing in for somebody else because she normally taught us science. Well, technically, she was all over the place. Miss Robinson did, a lot of, different classes. But in this instance, when we were there, one of my teachers decided that, hey, okay, we were, doing kind of bad as a class when it dealt with like the spelling. So she was like, okay, we're going to do this type of experiment, right? We're going to see how you guys do 1 week with just plain studying without any type of classical music, right? And then we're going to take a test on Friday and see what happens. And then next week, we're going to do the exact same thing, but during the period that you guys need to study, we're going to use classical music while you study and you learn and everything like that. Kid you not, everybody, of course, as normal, some of us did good on the spelling test, during that week without the music. And of course, the majority did horrible. But when they played that classical music for that week and we took that test on Friday, the amount of people that graded 70 and higher was incredible. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, because again, as a kid, like you can't really, in a sense, explain it. You're just there, right? You're just in the mode. You're not really, focused or trying to like, okay, why? Like, is this really, working? Is it doing this? Is it doing that? Is it rewiring the brain? Or you're not really focused on it. You're like, okay, whatever the teacher say, we're just going to sit up and do it. We're going to be in a moment. We're going to study, do the things we're supposed to do, and move on from there. But yes, I can sit up there and say from doing that in private school that classical music is beneficial, like jazz, classical, things like that. It does have a impact when it deals with learning. So I can tell you that 100%. Nelson said that hemp bricks are fire resistant. Yeah. Sham said, yeah, and it makes you wonder why they switch from glass to plastic. Containers are much better for food products and contaminants. Glass is always recyclable. Yeah, because you could just break the glass down and, you could just melt it, remelt it, and just reform it. And you can really just, of course, reuse that. Plastics, that's a whole nother thing. Like you want to try to maybe melt that down or reshape it or reuse it. You're going to have a lot of different chemicals because of the heat being released and all this. Like I said, it's a dangerous mess dealing with plastics. Jason said, later everyone, much love, respect, and appreciation. Jason, I think that actually rhymed. Philip said, nice to meet your family. Sham said, yes, you can improve your IQ listening to classical music along with opera. Yeah, opera is, it's it's an acquired taste. But I know about, Pavarotti and a few others directly out there. But takes a bit. You gotta find the right one for you. You gotta find the right one. But I will say that's one of the reasons that I loved growing up looking at older cartoons like Bugs Bunny and whatnot. They put a lot of classical and opera directly, in there, which was dope. Because you're not really gonna find that in the newer cartoons now. It's newer cartoons are more so focused on trash. Like they're not there to try to pique the interest of the kids or to put them on, to something that they may have never seen or, heard of. It's crazy work. Crazy work. Neil said classic music is why everyone remembers Bugs Bunny and Misuse. Wait, and Mrs. Robinson. Oh, you talking about the teacher? Okay, yeah, gotcha. Tippy said who? Pavarotti. Like if you type it in, Tippy, you'll see it. Like you got different opera singers, that have done opera over the time, and especially let's say like in the '90s or whatnot, you saw these people on talk shows and stuff like that. Ty said the one reason I stopped drinking Snapple, they switched from the glass bottle to the plastic. Yeah. Snapple was Snapple was good. You also had the one that stayed in the glass bottle though was Yoo-Hoo. I used to call it Yahoo, but Yoo-Hoo, which was like chocolate milk, which is good like that. And they also had the strawberry. Didn't they? I think they had chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. I think. Nestle Quick also had the same exact thing as well too, but I'm not sure. Did they do glass? Man, it's been a minute. I can't even properly tell you, but yeah, glass is always great. Glass is always great. Sham said plastic bottles make your sodas taste horrible too. I like, yeah, it does. It's weird. Like when you have it in glass, it tastes in a sense fresher. The same way if you have it in let's say like a tin can as well too. Those two, it's like things tend to be fresher versus if it's a plastic bottle, it's going to taste weird because of the plastic, right? So normally, because again, for however people decide to, say it, depending on where you are. For me, it's pop because Midwest, Detroit, other people's soda or soda pop or just Coke. So whenever it is that you would have, let's say, Coke directly in plastic, depending on how long it's been there, it's going to start to taste a little bit weird because, again, it's in plastic. And a lot of the chemicals within the stuff that we drink, it can eat away at certain things. So it's eating away a little bit of it at a time. And whatever eats away, that's going directly into the drink. And then whatever's in the drink is going directly into your body as well. Ergo the microplastics and all of these other types of things. Again, microplastics wasn't even a terminology when things were in glass or metal. That was not even a terminology. But yet here we are. Now we gotta, deal with microplastics and all this other type of stuff in the bloodstream. And like I said, crazy work, stuff that they do specifically on purpose. Sham said, I love the opera since I was 5. I listen to it all the time. And classical, it's soothing and it does open your mind. True. That's true. Tippy said Pavarotti, a singer named Poverty. See, this is why I can't deal with Tippy. No Enzoy for you, Tippy. No Enzoy. And that's actually coming up pretty soon too. Tippy said, why would I listen to that? Because it'll make you smarter, Tippy. That's why. It adds. Indigenous said Nestle Quick in the tin can. If you're talking, are you talking about the powder? Because if you're talking about the powder, I remember that being in the can. I remember that one. And then it would have the yellow plastic wrapping directly around it. And then you would have the rabbit with the straw. And it can be chocolate, strawberry, or vanilla. And I think at one point in time, I think they might have had a banana flavor too. But I'm like, yeah, we ain't doing that. Strawberry Quick was it. That was where I was at. We got Tippy said I always wanted to drink cola in a big glass jar bottle. That's funny. What was it? Tippy said name a couple of opera songs. I'll look it up. I can't even give you none. I'm just gonna be honest. That's a long time ago, Tippy. Long time. You asking the wrong person. Indigenous said the powder, but it's just nostalgic. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. Trust me, I remember. Like I said, like I told people in probably like 10 live streams ago. Back during that timeline, you also had the coupon machines. And if you were a kid during that time, it don't matter if it was Target, if it was your local market, if it was Big K, Circuit City, whatever it is, you went directly into that store. The first thing you did was go into the aisles and you were collecting those coupons like it was money. Like, I don't know what it was, but you just felt rich. It was just like, hey, you got like 10 coupons or whatnot or whatever. Like, you wasn't even really using them. Now it's a little bit different. It's like, I need those machines back because I'm looking for some deals. I'm trying to collect those real quick so I can get some cash back, some half off or something. Because I'm like, the only time I can happen to get, a portion of some money of like $3 to $4 to $5 off is if it's Uber Eats. Oh, also let me bring something back up to you guys as well too. There was a 2 live streams ago. I told you guys how the phones are listening, right? Earlier today, before I started the live stream, my phone actually went off twice because I ended up getting notifications. And I ended up getting 2 specific notifications, right? I got one directly from Uber that was like, hey, Seji, today is your lucky day. We got a 50% off coupon if you want to order out to eat. I'm like, word? I'm like, this is what we're doing right now. And then right under that, Domino's had also sent a notification, be like, hey, Seji, guess what? Today's your lucky day. We got 50% off of all delivery pizzas at Domino's. So place your order now. I'm like, y'all really trying me right now. I'm like, this is some crazy. But it goes back as a conversation that I told you guys before, where these phones are always on and they're listening. And the things that you just so happen to say will get thrown into their whatever computer that they have secretly somewhere, whatever AI is scanning through your speech, and they'll pick up on certain type of keywords and they'll textualize those words, send it directly to the computer, and then they will put out whatever it is that they need to put out specifically detailed towards you. In a sense, sort of kind of like Minority Report. If anybody's seen that movie, it's basically your phones are the same thing, right? You're in a sense living in a time of Minority Report where you're getting advertisements specifically tailored and suited to you. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there. Indigenous said, laughing my butt off, right? I got money, LOL bars. Philip says Circuit City. Yeah. D Money said grabbed about 20 of those coupons. Facts. Tippy up there laughing. D Money said, nah, that sounds like a setup, Seji. Nilson said my phone did a random Google search today while I was talking and didn't even have it in my hand. Yep, that happened as well too. Miss Eve said, oh, it's the whole phone is the phone is overheating. I don't overeat or anything. Wait. Oh, you said, is this why the phone is overheating? Your phone is possibly, I'm not sure if you got like I'm going to guess you got an Android and not an iPhone. So I'm going to go with the, Android tech. If your phone is overheating, you more than likely have a lot of other processes running in the background that you just don't know of. So you have a lot of other programs that are using up power, which realistically shouldn't be using the power because you're not actually using those apps or whatnot or whatever. So you would have to go through your phone settings and specifically force, those apps directly off, so that you wouldn't have to worry about your phone overheating or using up more energy than what it should be using. I would say possibly another way to do it is to maybe turn your phone on low power potentially, but I'm not sure how that will, affect your connection. You may have to make sure that your phone is hooked up to the Wi-Fi so that you don't lose connectivity, and things like that. But, you could try it out, see how it works. Miss Eve said, you funny. Yes, Android. Yeah. No. No. I wasn't being funny like that. No. I was saying that because I have an Android as well, too. So I'm like, if you're talking about overheating, I'm like, okay, I know you got an Android because the Androids that I've had, I've always dealt with some type of, overheating taking place, or happening. So I'm like, yeah, I got you. I already know what it is. So that's why, I gave, the directions of going into the back of the phone and, doing all those things, because that's what I've had to do, turn it on low power or maybe download an app that will allow me to control when the apps are on, or not, different things like that. Because you'll be quite surprised. And again, that also goes into the whole thing of how we give a lot of these apps control over our phones. This is how, our phones get overused and they overheat. And how it goes to the extent of that now your phone is jacked because the battery is way past the time in a shorter period of time versus when it was actually supposed to, be done. And I will also state that I would I can't say anything for people who got iPhones. People who got iPhones, you're at the mercy of the god of Apple, right? AKA, the bitten apple, forbidden fruit, right? If you got an Android, I would recommend anybody with an Android try to make sure to always get an Android phone that has a removable battery. Because as a person that buys phones that has electronics, you should always have the ability to literally shut off your phone if you want to shut off your phone. If a battery is not in your phone is not going to be on. It don't matter what these companies, your phone is not going to be on. If you got an Apple, you're just out of luck, because even if that phone might not have power somehow, some way, Apple's like, oh, we're going to turn this phone on real quick so that it can get this update. Crazy work. Crazy work. 100%, crazy work. So, just want to put that out there for anybody with Android. Make sure to always try to find a cell phone maker that has removable batteries. You don't ever want an internal battery, because within that you don't have control over your device at all. So just putting that out there. Ty said, pretty sure Eve has a newer phone than you, Seji. I mean, probably so. To be real, I think when did I get my phone? I think my phone was upgraded back in what is it, 2023, 2024, somewhere in there. Because my other Android was actually, I had that one since 2017 and it was working fine and dandy. Like, this is, let me tell y'all this crazy story real quick, right? So I had an Android that I had since about 2017, 2018. The thing that was happening with the Android is that it was full of it didn't have a lot of space, right? And since it was an LG, which those phones, or at least that model of phone, no longer gets service, so it gets no updates or anything like that. So for the longest time, since 2017, the phone has been working even without all of the system updates and whatnot or whatever, because I never had space, right? So without all of those system updates, the phone worked. I can make phone calls. I could, take pictures. I could surf the web. I can do all of that. The moment in the time I got the smart idea, I'm like, you know what? I got an extra, micro SD card. I can, actually move some stuff around. I can, actually update the phone. I kid you not. The moment in time I updated that phone, that's when the phone died. I'm like, that's a little bit crazy. I'm like, so you mean to tell me that realistically, if I'm looking at this correctly, my phone never died or had problems before I updated it. But the moment in time that I decided to update that phone, that's when it automatically died and crashed and black screened on me. I'm like, no problem. I got you. So y'all basically implemented and did the exact same thing that they did with Apple, for all intents and purposes. And now, mind you, again, my phone is from 2017, but still, it should not have died like that, because it never, like, I've dropped this phone. Phone has been like banged on the ground or against the wall with it. Like, the phone was a trooper. It was running. And now I get a black screen that looks like a computer's trying to boot up. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, are we living back in 93? Like, what is happening here? What it looked like a screen from like Doogie Howser MD, if you know that TV show. and you seen when Doogie Howser was writing on his computer and whatnot. But yeah, that's some crazy work. Crazy work how it works. Diabolical. Yeah, Tippy said, oh gosh. Miss Eve said, LOL, I'm cheap on the phone side. I'm a Samsung girly. No. Cheap ain't, trust me, I'm right there with you. I don't believe in spending, no offense to anybody. Well, technically it should be no offense taken, but no offense to anybody that spends like a buttload of money directly on the phone. I get it. It's an accessory, you want to whatnot or whatever. I myself, I don't feel like I need the Jordan of phones in order to do whatever. So I just get something that I feel is nice, and that's it. If it got like a nice little color to it or whatnot, I'm good. I don't need no type of extra bells and whistles and all this other type of stuff. And I do my stuff bi-monthly. I'm not on no contract. I'm not doing none of that. So my phone costs less than 100 or at 100, maybe a little bit more. Maybe at max it might be like 120, right? And then you got a phone plan that's like $30 to $40 a month, and there you go. And it's unlimited and whatever. Like I said, I'm not doing all the extra nonsense and madness. I'm not doing that. We are not doing that, because I didn't seen too many people be mad and they didn't spent like $500 to like $1,000 on an iPhone, and something happens like that screen crack. I'm like, ooh, dear Lord, now you got to go to the Genius Bar and try to get that fixed and repaired, and you gotta pay an extra few hundred more dollars on top of that. Crazy work. It's diabolical. Diabolical. Yo, Sharif, what is up? What is up? What's up? You said Seji live. This is late. Yeah. It's a little bit of a late live stream. A little bit of a late one. The funniest thing is, for a lot of people that's been here, like Ty, Tippy, Gail, and a few others here, 8 o'clock would be actually normal. 8 o'clock would actually be normal because of how it is that we tend to talk and go over different topics and and everything like that. So yeah. Masif said just bought a flip phone. The funniest thing is, I do want to get another flip phone, but I think those, let me see how much those cost real quick. If this was Twitch, y'all would be looking at my computer screen at this moment in time, but I can't afford to do that because certain times you might have some random advertisements that might pop up, and people are like, yo, Seji, what's that advertisement about? Like, what you into? I'm like, nah. That's not even me. That's not even me. I'm like, we don't even do that. Let me see. They got one flip. They got the Motorola Razor from Boost. They got that for about a good 100, which ain't bad. What is that? They got a flip. They got something for 30. I don't believe that's going to be the actual price for that though. I mean, that one is a track phone. What's that? They got a TCL flip for 30. That's from Straight Talk. We're looking for like normal flips. That's crazy. I'm technically doing some phone shopping directly on stream. Crazy work. Crazy work. Yeah, that's crazy. The funniest thing is actually seeing Boost Mobile make phones. Like if Boost Mobile, was it Boost Mobile? Was the next to? I think that was like the same thing. But if they're gonna do that, you gotta bring back the Nextel chirp. You got to do that just for old times. You got to pull back that retro. Like I said, the newer generation, the newer generations of now, both don't know nothing about that. Those were classic. It didn't matter wherever you went around the city, you would always hear that chirp. That bad boy was what? It was like a cell phone, a pager, and like a walkie-talkie all in one. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. And I never had one. I did want one too. I thought those were actually pretty dope. What they got up here? They got a Flipper 4G. That's like $40 on Amazon. Oh, I mean, some of them don't look bad. I think, I don't know. Like the flip phone that I would want, it would be way different. Like the Huawei, like phones, like those are actually pretty dope. Like there's two sets of phones. Like one is Chinese, the other one is Russian. Like there's certain like phones that I like because of what it is that they're able to do. Because I don't know what it is with American companies and how it is that they put out their phones. They gotta they gotta do better than that. Gail was like, Seji, I took out your oatmeal out of the freezer. It's cooled off. Come get it. Only Gail, let me tell you, only Gail. Philip said, I'm on Mint Mobile with Deadpool. I think, wait, didn't they have a commercial for that? I think. Tippy said, I want a pink cell phone case that looks like a 90s wireless. Oh, I know what you're talking about. D Money said the 300 deductible. Wait, what's deductible? Sham said, I did one where you were up until 5 a.m. You must be talking about like the Nextel. Oh, no. Oh, you talking about the phone plan. Okay, I got you. Tippy said it's 7:30 p.m. Oh, yeah, because it's like 10:33 here. Miss Eve said the same phone plan for 2 years. Yeah. That's pretty good. Was it Tippy said, what's a chirp? How do you, Tippy, how you don't know what a chirp word Tippy? That's what we're gonna do. All right, Tippy, I got you. That's crazy. Tippy gonna try to that's some crazy work, Tippy. Diabolical. That's some diabolical work. Sam said, no, you kept us. Oh, you talking about when I kept y'all up until 5 a.m. on one live stream? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we was out there. Like we was out there. And then I would do a 5 a.m. stream all the way to 5 a.m. And then let me see, when would I normally start? It'd probably be like from 10 all the way to 5 a.m. Right? Going over just like different stuff and talking. And then I would go to sleep, wake back up, and then I would start a stream at 12. Like that's how deep we will be directly in these streams. I would always be up. So it's like if you just went to work, guess what? By the time it's time for you to get back up and it's lunchtime, I'm right back to stream and you got something to listen to at work. It's crazy work, like I said. That's how we do it out here. That's how we do it. But yeah, wait, Tippy said that's before my time. All right, Tippy, I got you. I see how you want to do. Sam said, what was it? Yes, it was like, yes, it was like, did you ever eat? I remember you didn't eat all day. Yeah. Some of those days I didn't directly eat because I was just charged on just doing live streams and talking and everything. So yeah. Yep, Tippy was like, I remember those streams. But yeah, that's it. We went for about a good 2 hours and 30 minutes. It is currently 10:35 at this moment in time. So I'm gonna let you guys free on this. What is it? About to be Friday? Yeah, it's about to be Friday. So you might see me do a stream on Assassin's Creed, depending on when I happen to get it. So be on the lookout for that. So if you happen to see me go live one of these days, I ain't gonna be talking about nothing. It's just gonna be straight Assassin's Creed, just playing that. So I'm still trying to figure out if I'll do it in this format or if I'll do it in the the widescreen format. I'll figure it out. I'll probably just try it out and see specifically how it goes. But anyways, thank you guys for being here. As always, shout out to any and everybody who may have donated one way or another. Shout out for getting those likes up on the live stream as well. And yeah, much love, respect, and appreciation. Well, we got it at the moment in time. We had about a good 3,000 people that pulled up to the live stream. So shout out to all of those people and the others who may just so happen to catch up to the stream. And I will catch you guys on the next live stream. Peace out. Wait, what did Gail say? She said, remember, tomorrow is the true new year. Miss Eve said, bless you. Have a good day. Much love, much love. Philip said, peace, fam. Tippy said, blessings, peace, and soul. She forgot the chicken grease, though. Forgot the chicken grease. Can't believe you, Tippy. Peace out.